This is April.
And this is Tiffany.
And you're listening to the Tea of Life podcast.
We hope that you enjoy listening today as we dive into this week's episode. All right, so today in the studio we have with us very special fathers because, as you know, Father's Day, once this airs, will actually have been yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Over and done with.
But we wanted to honor the special fathers and dads and husbands of our life. Our special guests, we have Brandon, my husband.
Hello.
And we have Conrad, which is April's husband.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking with them here in the studio.
And they're very excited. They've been talking about this all week. They couldn't wait to get here. As we dragged him across the street. No, I'm just kidding.
Kicking and screaming.
Kicking and screaming.
Right. So welcome, guys. We're so excited that you're here.
First of all, let me just note that there are no kids present as we're talking about Father's Day. I just find that funny. Anyhow.
Well, for me personally, leadership is something that I am very passionate about. And today we want to honor our favorite leaders and leaders of our home, leaders behind, and the biggest fans of our podcast. Right, guys?
You got that right.
Of course.
The fathers of our children and our sweet husbands, Brandon and Conrad, as we just introduced to them.
Yay.
One of the things that I was actually kind of surprised about when I was doing research about today.
Wait, research?
Yes.
We love research. We
We've
love
been
it.
married for a little over 20 years. You needed additional research?
Well, I just wanted to make sure that I was able to honor you in the highest way possible. And so I wanted to make sure that I was prepared because we need to be prepared for...
Oh, yes. Preparedness is like next to
Godliness.
godliness,
And
right?
cleanliness.
So in my past 20 years of research...
There you
That's a
go.
very good way to
There you
phrase
go.
that.
I've realized that there's really not a lot of information out there about great traits of a good father. I don't know, April, your experience on researching today, but I did find quite a bit on how to honor the dads in our lives and how to make them feel special, and that is great. But I wanted to honor like the qualities of a good dad as well. So I actually came up with my own.
Oh, these are yours. I like them.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
I agree with them. Share them.
So some of the traits of a good dad I had put, and this is in no particular order, but one I had said leads by example. A man of integrity, loves unconditionally. He is a protector. He is loyal. He loves through discipline. He practices grace and mercy. He listens intently and recognizes teachable moments.
I like those.
Yeah.
Especially that recognizes teachable moments.
Yeah.
And the man of integrity.
So we have a few questions for you guys that we want you to answer. And
Because we didn't have to stalk them.
we
this
did
time.
not.
They didn't
We
have,
did
like
not
we
have
do
to
our
stalk them.
normal guests.
So you
our
walking
normal
around
guests.
taking notes.
You're an abnormal guest. Yes, we've been writing notes on you for you guys 20 years now? Is that what you said? Almost 20 years?
Well, we've been married for 20 years. Parents
Right.
for 15.
It's our 14th year of marriage and 10th year of parenting.
Very cool. So we realized that we did not give you guys a list of these questions beforehand.
No, you didn't.
So we know that your answer for this is going to be real because it's going to have to be like right off the top of your head.
I'm shaking my head. Yes.
Yes. So the questions that we have for you guys, like for both of you guys to answer.
Okay.
All right.
This is a buzzer.
Yes, there's a buzzer.
There's a sand timer in the middle of the table that you can't see.
We have to compete. Who wants to get this
Good
point
idea.
first? Oh, that is a good idea.
That's a great idea.
This is not a game show, Brandon or Conrad.
Who
This is not a
answers
game
first?
show. Who answers it first and the best answer
This
wins.
is not a competition. I know that you would like to compete. The first question that I have here is there anything that you can think of that you could add to the list of traits of being a good dad?
So a refresher of the traits.
Here you go.
Because forgetfulness may be one of them.
You can look at hers. Okay. Leads by example, a man of integrity, loves unconditionally, protector, loyal, loves through discipline, practices grace and mercy, listens intently, and recognizes teachable moments. But then memories. Okay.
So if you had to add something to the list,
And here's our questions down there in case you forget them.
what would you add to the list?
This sounds like a great question for Conrad to answer first.
Yeah, I would say provision. At least from when my dad. That's one thing. Not the one thing. One of the things I remember is just provision. And now, as a dad myself, I realize that even more. He worked hard. It was that ethic to provide the basic needs. Just working hard when he was not well. He went up, and it was that provision, that drive to provide for his family.
Right. You want to take care of your family. It kind of goes in with protector.
Yeah, I guess responsibility is tied into it.
I like that. Point one, Conrad. I'm just kidding.
Oh my! Well,
I'm just kidding.
it just so happens I was going to say no.
I'm just kidding. We like to laugh on this show. It makes it more enjoyable.
Well, my brain is getting going this morning, so I don't know that I'm going to add one right now, but I love the list because the things that you've outlined are things that really do make a difference in not only being a dad, but being a husband. I think it's a great list. I think that if you were to ask our boys or our kids that same question, would they allow you to put check marks next to those things? Like, would they recognize those things?
Would they see that in you? Would they know what to look for, what that means?
Hopefully they would. Hopefully those things are very noticeable and very evident in our lives. So I like the list. I mean, if I had that printed on the back of my closet every day and I reviewed it, that would be a good guideline for starting off a day, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I will make sure to print this out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it just so happens Tiffany has access to this list.
She made it up.
Okay, so our next question is, what are you doing to continually grow yourself as a father and leader of your family?
I'm always learning and trying to better myself as a dad because kids are always changing, and the requirements of being a dad now are way different than they were when Eden or Gabriel were young. So it's changing, and as they get to be teenagers and further into their teens, it's changing. And for me to learn ways of communicating and ways of making sure that I'm meeting their needs, that can be huge. And I think, like, even recently for me, I've realized that my boys need to see that I can have a lot of fun, and they need to see a dad who loves the Lord, not just like, praying at night or at dinner time or whatever, but actually spending time, like them seeing me worshiping or seeing me sing a song out loud that is to God. Like, I think that's huge. And them seeing, because we're role models. We are the role model for our children, and seeing them or having them see us engage in worship. That one right there. And that personally for me, like just letting go of any kind of chain that was around me as far as like not feeling like I could express myself. Like, that is huge.
For me, what was the question? How do I learn? How do I add to the pool of knowledge and being a good father?
What are you doing to continually grow yourself as a father?
I always ask if I notice. I mean, there are a lot of good kids, but like teenagers or like just well-behaved kids, just, I go up and ask the dad, tell me what you did, tell me what you learned, something that I don't know, something that you can impart. There are a couple of elders in our church that, that you just see the kids over time. Not sure how long you've been going there, but, you go up and ask them like, hey, tell me, your daughter is, interacts with these kids, and she's such a good influence on the kids in Sunday school when she babysits other kids. Tell me if I were to see 10 years into my daughter's life, that's a good model for her to aspire to be. Tell me what you did. So I ask a lot of questions from just who I think are great dads who did a good job. And then there's another website that I get the newsletter. It's called All Pro Dad, which is pretty good. I'm not sure if it's a Christian ministry, but I think it is. I don't know if it is or not. But
I think it is, but it's available to any school.
Yeah. So it's just daily tips. It's a daily newsletter. I think it's a great thing for dads. You can do it in your kids' school if you want to do it. But it comes with daily tips on real topics, like how to talk to your teenager about this topic or whatnot. But one good tip that I got from a dad was find an activity that you can spend time with your kids that your kids like. One example that he gave was it was midnight and his kid was just sitting down and playing video games. He just grabbed a bag of Doritos and sat on next to him and played video games at midnight. So it wasn't like, come spend time with me, like mowing the yard or
Too much worse.
He just found an activity where his kid was already doing, and he went and spent time, and it was the best 2 hours with his son at midnight. If he chose to go to bed or whatnot, he would have missed out on that. So that's one of the things I keep in the back of my head, or where I ask people, so that's one of the nuggets that I got.
That's good.
That's awesome.
That's really good. That actually kind of leads into our next question as well about relationship. As we know that relationship is very important in just even in like our community around us, but it is super important to the people that we spend our life with to build quality relationship with them. So what do you do on a regular basis to maintain relationship with your children?
Spend time, I have this morbid question that pops into my head. Right? It's a question like everybody says, right, on the deathbed, like, did I spend enough time with my kids? So I ask that when I'm alive, right? If I died today, would I question that? And am I satisfied with the amount of time? No, but if I were to be honest, I spend a lot of time because I make it intentional, so at least if on my deathbed, I could say, you know what, I was intentional about spending time with my kids. I did follow up on that thought. It was intentional. I spent casual time, then there was intention. I need to spend time with my kids. So I guess I would check the box, but would I be satisfied with the amount of time? No, I would like more, obviously, but so I think that's where the relationship is, like playing Barbies or painting. Yes, I painted my daughter's nails yesterday. It was the most gratifying thing in the world ever. That little just painting nails and just that moment of silence and you're just staring at nails getting painted for literally watching paint dry for for like 10 minutes. But that I think that built something,
I think that's great because I know that every time we leave our house, we actually have to pass by your house on our way out of the neighborhood. So I constantly see you outside with the kids, playing ball, playing catch, or just chasing them around or whatever. And I just think that is so cool because I constantly see you in interaction with your kids. And that is just so awesome. And I know that your daughter, she totally looks up to her dad. She loves her daddy. And when April comes over sometimes with the two kids, your daughter is, no, I want to stay home with daddy. And so she will go back home or she'll stay home just so she can be with her daddy.
They do spend a lot of time together. And he does encourage me to do more with them too. Like, he will wrestle with them. He will kiss them. He will their cheeks are bright red because they've had so many kisses. And I'm like, I didn't kiss them enough today. And I use that as a guide almost. Like, oh, I should probably do that too. And last night she even asked me, hey Mom, do you want to do a girly thing like paint nails? And I was like, yeah, just a second. And I turned to Kale and start finishing our game time. We're playing Galaga and then she wants to paint nails and Conrad's like, I'll do it. Oh, good. Because I just don't want to paint. I will paint her nails. I just don't get all excited about nail painting. But anyhow, Conrad does encourage me. And so oftentimes he'll go and he'll kiss the kids a million times. And then I'll wait some time. And then I'll do it too. So it won't look like, oh, Mom's following Dad. But I'm like, what is he doing today? I'm going to do that same thing. We do play Barbies a lot.
Those are great. And I think the important takeaway from a discussion like this is that there's not any one way that is the right way.
Yeah.
And even earlier, I'm realizing that anybody listening might not have some of the same values that we have. So like I say, my kids see me worship and they see a dad who is engaging with a Heavenly Father. If that's not for you, then I get it and that's fine. But that's the way that I've chosen to be with my kids. And that's how I've chosen to live my life. And so any of these things we're talking about is not the way, but it's a way. It's one of the things that's worked for us. And I think that's awesome that Conrad's been able to kind of do some of the things he was talking about earlier. For me and our boys, I think what's worked is I try to take a huge interest in what they're interested in. And I've had some of the best time with the boys when it's been Dad kind of super uber engaged in what it is they're doing. So Eden comes to me all the time. He's like, Dad, I've got this one thing I'm working on with a 3D. I'm trying to figure out how to 3-dimensionally model this one thing in this software. And I'm like, I have no idea. I mean, he's I don't know, he's going to be doing something really cool with computers later on. And he got it, I guess he got it from me because in the early days, it was me showing him things that was interesting to me. And then now he's coming back to me and just being like, Dad, I got to do this and watch this. And how do I do this? And I was like, guy, you've spent so much time with the software now. I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to sit here with you. We're just going to try and figure it out. And that fills his cup. That just fills him up. And like for Gabriel, it's video games. Hey, what game is that? Can we play together? Can we do this? And where I'll invite him to the living room and we'll play a game of. I can't play his first-person shooter games. I get killed every second, so it's no fun to me. But I might play a racing game, and I'll invite him into the living room and we'll play a racing game, and he loves it, and he'll usually beat me at that
I was going
say
to he girls you that too.
And I've been known to get down about being beat on the racing games, but it's still fun.
Because you're connecting with him.
Yeah.
That's good.
Anytime you can get a connection, it's
Yeah.
a connection you didn't have.
Yeah.
And it's a memory that you didn't make.
I love it. What I'm hearing here really is you're pulling yourself into their world.
Yeah.
You're not pulling them into your world.
Right.
I mean, you could look and say, I'm not painting your nails.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Like, I am a guy. I'm not going to use nail polish. And then for you, you could very easily want to pull them out of the games thinking, oh, well, you've been playing too many games anyway. Let's go do something else and do that together. Instead of you just understanding that is their world and you enter into their world instead of pulling them out of theirs.
Yeah. At least it has to be something that is not obviously you trying to pull them into your world. So if we say, hey, we're going to go to the park, that might not be what they were going to do, but now we're doing something together. And I guess that's the point, is just being able to do something that is not obviously dad centric or not something that is going to, like, hey, Gabriel, come outside. We're going to work on the motorcycle. Like that doesn't do anything really for him, maybe, unless that's an interest that he wants to gain and come up with. And I don't think that that's true right now for him. Maybe later on when he sees, when he has a motorcycle or whatever, and he sees, and he wants to wrench on it, right? And hey, Dad, could you come over and help me work? Oh yeah, I'm there. I'm right there.
Finally, he's asking something I like to do.
Yeah.
But for now, we got to go to where their interests are, and that seems to work. And as I'm saying these things too, I'm realizing that we're dads, but we have dads, and it's easy to go, oh, my dad did this or my dad didn't do this, and a lot of times we become our parents. Yeah. And that's so hard to break away from if it's not been good. But then again, if it's been great with parents, then those are the things that we try to emulate. And I don't know if I can be encouraging. It's that we have to identify the things that didn't work with our parents. Sure. And then we have to figure out ways to very strongly not do those things or stray from the things that didn't work with our parents or our dads and try to gravitate to the things that did work. And I remember, like for my dad, I remember he was into fixing things. He would fix anything. And he would pull me into projects around the house, and we would work on like removing a wall, little things like removing an entire wall from the house or
little things.
Just the little things. Like, wall. Let's rebuild the, we had a pool in our backyard. Let's completely gut and redo the entire plumbing and pump and filter for the pool. And the little things. But I remember those. I remember those moments, and I remember he was opening a restaurant. It was one of the many entrepreneur things my dad did over the years, and we had to save a bunch of money because he didn't have a lot of capital. So we ended up building all of the booths that the people would sit in. So he came up with a design for a booth and a table, and we sat there and we cut plywood and put together these booths, and we had to make an entire restaurant of booths. But it was just like a machine shop in our garage, and we were cutting painting, staining. We were doing a little bit of upholstery here and there, making the booths for the restaurant that he was opening up. And I remember all of it. I remember, and he made it fun too, because he's like, instead of just pulling us in and making us do the work, it was like, you're going to have like a stock in the thing. And nothing really ever came of it, but it was fun. And it made us feel like we were bought in. Mm-hmm. And my brother and I both helped. And my mom, and we were all in. It was all hands on deck as a family.
Guess you have to be at that point. But then knowing who you are now and what you do, you built a lot of things. So that kind of carried over. So at some point you either liked to do it and he brought that out in you, or you just kind of developed a love to tinker and do things.
Yeah. And so I saw my dad do it, and it became part of my DNA.
Yeah. I think there's that push-pull, right? Mm-hmm. Or that nudge. Sometimes you jump into their world, but then also you kind of nudge them into, sometimes you have to at least nudge them into some activity that you do, because to see if they're interested in it. Because if you just let them be. So I think that was a great nudge from your dad, that paid off. How old were you?
Late middle school, early high school.
It's a tough year to nudge as well, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's a great memory, right?
It was a great memory. Yeah. And I think, for me, it was before girls, gasoline, and another G, but
gadgets.
Before the fumes.
Before the fumes, yeah.
The gas fumes and the perfumes.
Gas fumes and perfumes. It was before all that, and so it was probably a lot easier. But there are the years that we're able to be influenced as kids, and there's years that we can influence as dads, and we have to just go for it during those years, because if you don't, it gets away so fast. You blink and it's over.
Yeah,
for sure. One thing that I'm hearing too is that the more that you indulge yourself into their world, the more they're going to want to indulge themselves into your world. Yeah. Instead of just constantly trying to tug and pull. Something else that you kind of hit on that I'm going to add to our list of traits of a good dad is accountability. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's actually not something that was on our list before, but accountability. I think that is huge. Holding yourself accountable, having others hold you accountable.
And if you're being accountable to your children, I know there's times where we haven't made the wisest parenting move, and we've had to ask them for forgiveness, or showing that because we're accountable to them, we're accountable to God, and to raise them well. We want to show where we have made a fault.
At times when I've been actually working on myself with different areas of my life, and I may fail, and that failure may result directly on them somehow. I have actually gone to them, apologized, asked for their forgiveness, and said, hey, look, you can hold me accountable, and I give you permission to call me out on this stuff. And that's been huge.
Yeah. And teaching them how to apologize. They learn how to apologize as well, as opposed to sorry.
Yeah.
So that's great that you apologize, and they learn from you and how to apologize sincerely and use more than one word. One word apology can be sincere, but I think there's a right way to approach an apology. Right.
And one thing that we have really tried to instill in our kids too is they can't say just sorry. Yeah. They have to say, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry for whatever it was that they did. And then after that, will you forgive me? And so we have to make sure it doesn't end there. Yeah. The receiver of that actually has to say, yes, I forgive you. But maybe even not immediately, but it may be something that they have to work through. But we help them work through that forgiveness so that they can get there and truly forgive that person. So that is something that we really tried to work on. So what legacy building trait do you want to leave behind?
Brandon?
I think I hinted on it. For our boys and for the families that they lead and for the children that they have, to be honest with themselves and each other, to have short accounts, and to have fun, and to not be afraid to be a person who is passionate about what they believe in. Hopefully for them, it's leading their families to be super close with God and to lead their children to have personal relationships with Jesus. That's a legacy.
Yeah. For me, I think what I work with Kale and Rylan is I remind them constantly of, at home we're always teaching them, we're kind of telling them what's right, what's wrong, and what's okay, and to make decisions by themselves, to make choices. How to make the right choices. So when they are on their own, or we're about to drop them off somewhere, and it has nothing to do with the people or the place, but I always remind them. I ask Kale, "Who are you, Kale? You are this person who makes these choices, who has a history of making these awesome choices. Don't change. You don't change by where you are or with who you hang out. You're still that person, because there's always pressure to change. Like in Publix at the checkout aisle, I don't let Rylan look at the magazines. That's pressure to change. Rylan, you are this person. Remember that wherever you go, you don't change. You are that person. The place and the people don't change you. In fact, you've been influenced to change the other people. If you want, if not change, that's maybe influence, right? But you don't change. You don't accept that outside influence. Remember who you are, and so that's what I hope. I think of all things, and if we raise them right, then I think then just teaching them to live strong in who they are is what I want to leave behind, I guess.
That's awesome. In the interest of always learning and always getting better, I'm going to adopt what Conrad just said. Challenge my voice. That's great. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, it's like do not conform any longer to the patterns of this world.
Yeah.
Teaching them now to be leaders, not just followers.
So what is one of your most memorable moments of being a dad?
My daughter always, this is kind of gross, but my daughter always reminds me, when she was little, I don't know how old she was, a couple of months, I don't know. She just just ate a breakfast, and April was brushing her teeth, and I was playing with Rylan, just lifting her up, and we were both laughing, and April said, remember I just fed her. And seconds after that, she threw up in my mouth. It was like from mouth to mouth. And oh my God, I don't know what I did. I think I put her down gently.
Gently. I don't remember at all.
And I rushed to the bathroom and washed my mouth. So they like to hear that story over and over again and remind me of it.
Oh gosh.
It left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
That's your most memorable moment of being a dad?
That is a memorable
Oh,
moment.
okay.
Yeah.
I did say most memorable,
Okay,
but
yeah.
we can do a memorable.
Yeah.
So like a really strong memory, and I think this is probably one of our strongest memories for both of us was we're at Jekyll Island, and we just didn't notice a storm front coming. I don't know. We maybe thought it wasn't going to be that bad, but things at the beach happen fast with weather. And so we were down on the beach, and we were just kind of like walking around, and this storm came up, and we look around, and Gabriel's gone.
Mm-hmm. We're gathering everything. Eden is baby, like Eden is just months old at this point. So we have him, we have our dog. We're trying to gather everything.
Yeah. We have Tiffany's parents were there. And so we're trying to gather everybody up, and Gabriel was nowhere to be found. And we're like, where is he? Where did he go? And at first you're like,
And how old is he?
Okay.
How old is he at this point?
He was 4.
Okay.
okay. So we're going, okay, well, maybe we're just not seeing him. So you look around some more, and then you look around some more, and then it starts to hit you. Oh, crap. And so we start running around.
We're looking
Things
in the
are getting
dunes.
a little bit panicked.
We're looking under
Dunes. We're looking under the boardwalk. We're looking everywhere. We're running around. I'm losing my breath, starting to see stars because we're just
Panic.
unable to find our son. And it turns out he saw this storm coming and decided to go up and get into the back of the van. He got into our minivan, closed the door. He was inside.
Safe.
Just, I don't know, he was playing on a toy that he had in the van. And we were freaking out about where our son was.
Yeah. So I finally made my way up there. I just I don't know what made me think to go look in the van, but I did. Went up there, looked in the van, opened the door, and he just, hi, Mom. Yeah. And
It's like,
he had no clue that we
Right.
were upset. He had no clue that we were missing him or anything. And yeah, Brandon said that he heard that moment when I was yelling his name, to where I went from yelling his name to panicking. Like he said, I heard the transition in your voice.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, just go from one to the other.
yeah. I remember that moment. Yeah, pretty vividly.
I remember that.
But you're right. It's it was a
scary.
reflection of the kind of self-awareness that Gabriel now has, which is, we dropped him in the middle of the Sahara. I think he'd be probably fine. He would make his way out and arrive home before we got home.
Well, what's funny is one of my next questions is, do you have a dad fail story?
Said it.
Point.
Well, we also have the story to where when we were in Disney World and we were at the pool, Eden was 3 years old. He was just under, I guess, the 3-foot mark at the pool. Okay. And he was playing in the kiddie pool. My mom was standing here sitting there watching him. Me and Brandon and Gabriel were in the deep end of the big pool.
And this was evening.
This was evening, dusk.
The pool was still open, but it was evening.
Right. And so we were over in the deep end, and I just looked over in the shallow, or 3 foot, the more shallow end. And I was like, what is that shadow in the water? I don't remember that. And we're literally like in the deep end trying to figure out what it is. And all of a sudden, Brandon just goes, Eden! And he like starts swimming over, pulls him out of the water. He had left the kiddie area, and somehow my mom didn't notice. I think she had turned to talk to my dad or something. And then he had that moment left and tried to get into the pool to come to us. And so we pulled him out. And obviously he was okay, but yeah. So that was pretty scary.
That was a real one.
That was pretty scary.
Do you have a dad fail?
No, I think. No,
I have one if you know.
Okay, yeah. Remind me.
No, you can come up with your own.
No,
but
tell me. Give me a clue.
I was just thinking of the time where you had been out with Kale, and you came in and you said, Kale, tell mommy about the...
So, are you talking about the markers? Oh,
You can
no.
talk about whatever one you want. You can go first. It's your show.
I need a bigger clue.
Okay, but the gun.
Oh,
BB gun.
no.
Yeah, okay, so you
Tell
came
me.
in, you were talking about, I don't know how it transpired about guns or shooting range. I don't even know. Because we're not hunting people. We're not gun people. I don't know.
And you're not hunting people.
Right. Yes, that is correct. We are not hunters by trade. And so but we have friends that do. We have a friend that has land, and he's taken his son, on in the range and shot, or so Kale's good friends have dads that teach them about guns and safety, and they're great dads and all that. Do you want me to continue the story, or do you have
Yeah, I remember.
sufficient?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I took Kale to Dick's Sporting Goods, and
there you go.
because I'm not a gun person, so I know he's interested in guns. We just go around there and look, and we ask the salesperson, and then he saw obviously all the real guns all chained up or whatnot, and then at the other side there's BB guns, and he figured out that that BB guns are not real guns, at least in his mind, right? The way he looks at things, maybe it is, and I don't know, I'm not a gun person, but so he figured out like there are real guns, and then there are kiddie guns, which are the BB guns. So I happened to get him a BB gun for Christmas the previous year, I think.
Yeah.
So when he came home, I think this was the first time he saw like real guns or whatnot. I told him, hey, tell mommy what he just saw. I expected him to come like bubbling up with all this information, because he remembers things. He'll spit out like spec models and everything, like right. I thought that's what's going to come pouring out of his mouth. but he started to pout and he got mad. Like, what happened? Like, you did not buy me a real gun.
You robbed me.
You robbed me.
It was you robbed me of a good gun, or you robbed me. I just remember hearing, you robbed me. And he went on and on about how he only got this BB gun and his friends have whatever specs,
guns.
you know. And he goes, and I just turned to Conrad and said, did you see this coming? And he said, no. You know, but it was just, it wasn't really a fail, but it was, I guess we have failed. We have not
In
taught
Kale's
our
eyes,
kids.
it's a dad fail.
Yeah, he thought he could shoot a deer with a BB gun.
Right.
I guess you could.
We'll send him to
shoot squirrels.
Yeah,
with a BB gun.
exactly.
There is one story of a dad fail that I haven't shared yet, and that is
Okay, so this is
Ever?
number 3 for you. And Conrad can't even think of one.
I'm
so-
intentionally keeping it low.
you'll understand where I'm going in a sec.
intentional.
So Tiffany had asked me to make sure that I brought Gabriel home from an event.
I remember this.
An event not too long ago, and so I got home. I came in the house, and Tiffany was like, "Hey," bubbly and awesome she is. "Hey, how you doing?" And so she said, next thing was, "Where's Gabriel?" And I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" She's like, "I told you to get him like before you left." And I was like, "You did?" Of course, now I'll let the cat out of the bag. Gabriel was walking around the back of the house because we had both colluded to.
Yeah.
To-
At this point,
to
I
get
am in my
Mom.
pajamas, and I'm not even changing out of my pajamas. I'm putting my shoes on to go back to pick him
Right,
up.
do it yourself. Take care of it.
Right. And getting ready to leave. And I noticed that Brandon was very casual about the fact that he had left our son. And I was getting upset about that and the fact that
He left me.
he left our son.
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden, Gabriel walks in the back door.
Walks in the back door.
Big smile on his face.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
It worked out really well.
Jokes on mom, yeah.
Tiffany wanted to punch me at that moment, and then love on her son. So not really a dad fail, but
I said that would be a
good
husband
story.
fail.
it was the greatest practical joke.
That was good.
The
I got
greatest
you.
practical
I
joke.
got you.
The greatest practical joke. We could have used it at last week's episode. Remember, you always have a thing about your garage and Google coming down, always taking a picture when your garage is open. And so I remember you were just always like, oh, Google always comes around when our garage door is open. And so I think I don't know if I'd seen the Google car or like on the street. So that made me think, oh, Google. He wasn't like down in our neighborhood or anything. But so I happened to see that your door was open. And so I said, hey, you guys, the Google just went down the street. And I remember you were like, what? And you're so panicking, freaking out. And then I was like, no, it didn't. You know, so. But I let you, no, I think I came up to you. Or I just, let you believe it for a minute.
Yeah, you did. You totally did. And speaking of Google, just a little side note, for the longest time, if you Googled our home, you would see me bent over in the front yard with my butt facing. Because apparently I was
tending
like
to the garden.
I was
tending to the flowers.
to the garden and the flowers. And you would see me literally bent over and my butt would be facing.
Yep. Well,
Because you're so focused.
because of the goodness of Google, you can actually go back and see what something looked like
I think you need like
previously. And Google blanks out faces. They blank out faces, but I don't.
Not bums.
No bums.
well, my face wasn't showing. I was bent over the other direction.
I know it can't differentiate between the two. Wait! Oh gosh! No! Oh gosh! This is the part of the podcast when Brandon's in trouble because that came out really weird.
You got the exactly disease. Your face look exactly like your butt. There's a joke that I would always tell. Going into the doctor. Doctor,
Yep.
what's the results? You got the exactly disease. What is that? Your face look exactly like your butt. So, according to Google.
Okay. I'm sorry. I said I was sorry. I said I was sorry. I said I was sorry.
Sorry for what?
And on that note,
Oh god.
Well, Brandon has a new story
As a
to
new
add
story.
to the library.
Oh, yeah. Captured live.
all right, I'm going to take this last one while you recover. What advice would you give to someone who just became a first-time dad? Or what advice would you wish somebody would have given you as a first-time dad?
Slow down, and time flies. Be intentional, slow down, and take in the moment. And it's like when you're at a show and you're not enjoying the show. You're looking at it through your cell phone, taking video. You're not in the moment. It's those moments that build up, that you can tell those stories to your kids. Remember that time, like that. So slow down and pay attention to the details, and because it'll fly by, and your hard drive of pictures might get lost. So. I mean, at some point in time, you're going to forget as well, but the good stuff will stick. Make it a point to just slow down and enjoy the moment.
Yeah, I can say the same thing. It's so many times I hear people saying, "If I can just get to this weekend, then then things will settle down. If I can just get to this next event, if I can just get past this next event." If we can just get through this soccer, if I can just get through baseball, if we can just get through this, I've realized that thinking, it just allows your life to skip by.
Yeah.
And you don't want to skip by. Y'all ever see the movie Click?
Yep. Adam Sandler, right?
Yes. Adam Sandler, Click. It is a movie where he basically is doing that with his life. It's like, somebody gives him a magic remote control that allows him to just kind of like disengage from the moment, and life zips by. I guess the curse of the remote for him was that every time you hit the fast forward, time would go further every time. And so it was 5 minutes at first, and then it was a week, and then it was a year, and then it was 5 years, and then it was like 10 years or 20 years had gone by every time it hit the fast forward on his remote. And like, don't let that happen for yourselves. Don't let yourselves get caught in this notion of, if I can just get to the next thing, then things will be better, because things just are. You just have to live in the moment. Right. You can't say, I want to wait until the next big break in life happens, because then that's a disservice to yourself, to your memories with your kids, to your spouse, to your friends and the people that you work with. Just always live in the moment and let the next day take care of itself.
Yeah.
We don't add any time to our lives worrying about what tomorrow brings at all. So just live now. Why not? Mm-hmm. We've tried to not let that happen, but it does. It's so easy to fall into. I mean, for even recently, we were like, man, if we can just get through Cub Scouts and our boys would get both into Boy Scouts together, and things would be easier.
Easier.
And just forgetting that in the time that I had transitioning with where Eden's behind Gabriel as far as scouting, so we were in Cub Scouts for longer than Gabriel had moved over to Boy Scouts. So I became a den leader with Eden's Cub Scout den when he was a wee below 2, and I actually really started to have a lot of fun with it. It was great. Mm-hmm. It was great. And for the longest time, I was like, can we just get to the next thing? I was falling into the trap myself. And now I have memories of being a den leader to not just Eden, but the other boys in the den that I wouldn't have had I just checked out and said, okay, we're gonna be in this together when we get to Boy Scouts. Which, that's a great thought, but you got to make it happen now. So
it's so hard to stop yourself from wishing your life away, or not your life per se, but don't just get through your life. Yeah, don't just get through.
Being a mom and talking to other moms, I do hear, them wanting to get through the nursing stage or get through the diaper stage. If I could just get them
where they can sleep all night.
Eating, or
Right,
sleeping
right.
all night.
Oh my
or-
gosh! I hear people talk about can I just sleep all night? And I'm like, you don't realize how special the time
Yeah.
is you have right now. Your child is not sleeping through the night. I wish I could
Yeah.
wake up at 2 a.m. with my child screaming and go pick them up and comfort them and get them to fall asleep again in my arms.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
you never get back.
Yeah.
And that is special to a point of like, I'm tearing up right now thinking about it. Those who are like, oh, if they can just sleep through the night, golly,
Yeah.
embrace that moment.
Yeah.
It doesn't come back around again
Yeah.
unless you have more kids, but every one of them is different. And so you can't say, oh, I'll be able to do that with my second child. And yeah, parenting becomes easier with more kids to a point, but every child is unique and you have to spend time.
The small things, like I miss putting the shoes on and tying the laces, that, like I every now and then I'll say, can you let me do that? Will you let me put your shoes on and tie your laces and kind of serve them, and just because those are the many things that you don't pay attention to. It's the small things, that we can easily, they know how to tie the shoelaces. I mean, at some point you stop, but before it gets weird, but like teenagers,
Or you want them
or
to
they're
learn
in
how to
college.
do
Yeah,
it.
you want,
Yeah.
But it's the small things that you pay attention. It's not a, you don't want to let go kind of thing, but it's the small things like that. Like holding a kid in the night when they're screaming, it's a bonding moment. I still remember holding my daughter at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, just looking in my eyes and like screaming into your face, just walking around, in a 2-room apartment. It was a bonding moment. I tell them the stories, and in fact, like recently, we were reenacting it. I was telling Riley, Kale, right? You remember you were this little. I was showing you were like this close to my face, your eyes closed, and just screaming at 2:30 in the morning, And sure, at that moment, I wish, like, because we already had one kid, and we saw 6 months later he was sleeping better. That moment we were saying, I wish, but no, but these are good moments. Obviously, if she's not in pain or like screaming, it's not a good moment for her. But it was a good bonding moment to just hold your child and calm them down. I think even from that moment, they learn who is my dad. What kind of a dad is he? Is he a dad that is patient, or is he a dad that I'm safe with him, So those are good moments. Yeah, a wailing child is a good moment to hold a child.
So you said you recently reenacted this? Did you have her scream in your
last
face?
night, yeah.
Okay.
Then, I was showing her. I was lying in her lap.
So you laid in her lap and screamed in her face?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I believe you. Reverse role play. That's hilarious. Go. I'm screaming in your face. Yes, go. I like that. And I had a question that I had thought about. You didn't grow up with Father's Day. You didn't grow up with this, being in India. And I know it's only recently that it has come about because, Mother's Day, Father's Day, they just weren't things that you grew up with. So you didn't have any memories of celebrating your dad? I'm sure you celebrated him, you just didn't call it a day.
Yeah, actually we had lots of days, but except Mother's Day and Father's Day, maybe I just don't remember it. I would say that I don't remember it, but there was Children's Day, we got off from school. Like there was Teacher's Day, Friendship Day, but Father's Day and Mother's Day, no, we just...
Until Hallmark came to India, and then you had...
We imported the holiday, yeah. Oh, whatever it is. But I guess he had it. It was his birthday.
How do you feel about celebrating Father's Day?
I think we get to be extra special. The kids, it gets the family, other than the dad, all colluding, whispering, and planning. I think it's a great, right? The kids,
yes, planning.
They're a little bit more intentional. I think it's like Valentine's Day. We don't celebrate Valentine's Day because we love each other. All through the year, we go out. We have dates every Saturday, right? So same thing with Father's Day, but it's a day where everybody just comes together. The kids are like making cards or getting together with you. It's more intentional. It's an excitement. It's so I think and then I get to see it and I save the cards. I love the whole effort, the thought that goes behind it. So I like to feel special every now and then.
I think the Father's Day for some dads is kind of like Father's Permission Day. Father's permission to go fishing, or Father's permission to go to the racetrack or golfing or whatever.
Sans kids.
Yeah. I think that's a misconception, because Father's Day is a celebration of dads, not a dad permission day.
That's what I take Mother's Day as. And I'm like, y'all do your thing. I'm going. Okay. So I hear what you're saying. It's not a permission world.
Yeah, but I see it. I don't know what, like, I would be curious what the percentage is of dads who consider Father's Day to be the day that they can go and do what they want, versus Father's Day being a day where dads are celebrated and families are together, and maybe dad gets to pick where they go to lunch or where they go to the park or what they do as a family. I would hope that the percentages are that the family spends time with dad, and the dad chooses where lunch is and where the picnic is and where they're going to do something special for that day, and not the other way around. That's a challenge for society.
Yes, it is. Yes. I would like to go on record saying I think there is an awakening of just the fact that dads have this great responsibility. I mean, I know that, anyway, I think that there's a coming back around to the importance of a dad's role in the lives of children, whether you're a believer or not. It doesn't matter. You have a commitment to your family, you have responsibilities, and you need to, not just raise your kids with integrity, treat others with respect, and we're all human beings. So it doesn't matter what, like I said, about being a believer or not. But I do think there is going to be this, and I'm saying this almost like as I want to proclaim it, and I want it to pray over it, is that I want the dads, like I said, the awakening that's coming is with dads realizing their responsibility, waking up to it, and taking on that challenge, like that flag, that banner, and saying, you know what, I am going to stand up. I am going to teach my kid how to put their phone down at the table in the restaurant and communicate with the others around them, or how to hold the door open for the person behind them, or for your mother, or for your sister, or how to just treat other humans as humans. I mean, I think there's an awakening of that.
I was thinking back through the traits of a good dad that you had talked about when we first started, and just to go back over those again and maybe even highlight those lines would be good. So just reading it out, a good dad can lead by example. And that's how we live our lives. A good dad is a man of integrity who can be honest with their kids and let them know when they've done something wrong and apologize, and be honest about things with their kids. A good dad is somebody who loves unconditionally. So, like, for example, the screaming at 3 a.m. in your face, that's unconditional love. Yeah. That's realizing that the child is just screaming because they're a baby. They're not mad at you. Right?
Taking it out on
Exactly.
They're not taking it out on you. Unconditional love is that's a key point right there. A good dad is somebody who's a protector, who makes sure that the environment they set up for their children and their family is an environment where people can feel safe. A good dad is somebody who's loyal and who is around and is able to show loyalty by being available. A good dad is a dad who loves through discipline. So sometimes the things that aren't easy for us to do, almost like when you're talking to your kids about something they've done wrong, it's okay to say, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. To say that you've done something wrong and I love you, but this is the effect of what you've caused. And to be able to discipline in a moment through love. Yeah. Learning how to discipline with love. Ooh,
right.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Second podcast.
A good dad is somebody who practices grace and mercy. Again, like I think that talks up through the love, discipline, and love, and integrity, and loving unconditionally. And those are practices grace and mercy. A good dad is somebody who listens intently, who's not sidetracked by work and the phone and the TV and the ball game and hobbies that we all have in life, but tries to figure out a way to make those hobbies a common hobby with the kids.
Yeah.
Listens intently to what they are interested in. A good dad is somebody who recognizes teachable moments. That one's huge, because realizing that, I think, a teachable moment, and then combining that with love and discipline, that teachable moments become a thing that the kids remember forever.
Yeah.
A good dad is a provider, like a protector, like earlier, and a good dad is somebody who is accountable. And accountability starts with our spouse, first and foremost, and with God. But when we're accountable out loud to the people that we love, our kids see it.
Yeah.
And then they can model that behavior. Like me talking about when Tiffany would have whenever the boys would wrong each other, that she would try to have them apologize and be very purposeful in how they responded and how quickly that loop is closed and it doesn't linger.
Yeah.
Those are important things. And for us as dads to be accountable to our kids and have quick accounts. Quick account being just, if something happens, don't let it linger.
Yeah.
Those are all really important, desirable traits of being a good dad. I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool to just kind of go back over all that and close the loop, so to speak.
That made me think when you said accountability, and you can, and it might not for all families have this, but loves their mother. Like when you talked about accountability with your spouse, and I always heard, if you want to show your child how much, like if the dad wants to show how much that he loves his child, love their mother, love them well, and treat them. So I mean, that's kind of like carries over, so that child feels safe. Like, oh, okay, mom and dad, cool. When there's discord with us, then the kids are like, I think we fought once, or we had some discussion. Remember, Kale or Rylan was like, I mean, not that they would know that there's something. They just saw something in us, and they're like, "Are you fighting?" I'm like, "How? No, we're not. We're just talking. We're talking about." I mean, we don't really fight a lot, not in front of them, but no, we really don't fight.
Yeah, we had a disagreement on something. We were talking about it. We weren't yelling. No. But Rylan sensed something, and it's okay to show them how to disagree and have a civil disagreement, I guess, but let them know that it's okay. That we're still inside the circle. That's not going to be broken, but there'll be disagreement. But how you handle yourself. So rest assured that the circle's not going to be broken.
Yeah. Thank you guys for.
Well, I have a question for Brandon, like I always do. Like, give me a nugget. Like when your kids come over to our house, they're always so polite, right?
They are very
Just so polite, right? We try to teach our kids, like say, somebody talks to you, acknowledge them, eye contact. When we I always push them to order their own food at restaurants, right? Eye contact, loud and clear, yes, please, thank you. But your kids come home, it looks like they've gone through that, right? They always, yes, please, thank you, eye contact. They're so polite, So teach us, tell me how you did it.
We've always tried to make sure that the boys understood that communication with adults is very important. I think part of it is scouting. That we've been involved in scouting now 9 years. Tiffany's gonna put a number on it. 9 years. So a big thing that scouting teaches, so maybe we can't take credit for this, is communication with adults and being able to carry on a conversation with somebody who's older than you and have eye contact and being polite. And I remember having conversation. This has been a few different scouts when I can see them talking to me and their eyes are walking around or they'll look down and they're talking to me and they just can't make eye contact. And I'm like, I'll kind of get down on their level and I'm kind of look where they're looking. And I'm like, I'm right here. It's okay. You can look at me. And I tell them how important it is that when you're talking to somebody, you want to look at them.
Yeah.
And because it makes a contact and it makes a connection with somebody that there's no other way to connect with somebody. Really. I don't know. It's important. Yeah. So I think that we've been able to teach our kids that that's an important thing. Being polite, maybe that's more of just being an example to our kids, and we are polite with people.
Yeah. One of the things that we did when the boys were younger was that we found a mentor.
Okay.
Just like you were saying that you find these different people that you go to. Well, we had somebody specific that we looked at their kids and we're like, we want what you have.
Yeah.
We want our kids to be, the best that they can be. I see that you have made your kids the best that they can be, and we want that. How do we do that? And so we would constantly sit down with her on a regular basis, and I would call her whenever things would come up or whatever. But one of the big things that she taught us was, to establish good communication with your kids, you don't want to be a reactor. Yeah. So whenever your kids come to you and tell you things, you talk to them on a regular level and don't react to what they're saying. Now, you can go behind closed doors and you can go into your closet and you can scream and say, what is going on? What just happened? But when they tell you something that is a big deal, you don't react and you get on their level. But that makes them open communicators to where they know that they can discuss things with you instead of coming to you and all of a sudden being judged. Yeah. So they're not afraid to tell you things because they're not afraid of what your reaction is going to be. Yeah. So that is one thing that we've really tried to practice with them. So because of that, Eden and Gabriel both, they will come to us and tell us things that's going on, some things maybe that their friends have done or the things that they've seen. And there was a season of time where Eden was coming to us and telling us all kinds of stuff that we really didn't want to hear, but glad that he did. And we were able to talk him through those things and walk him through those things and pray with him through those things. But because he felt safe, we weren't reactors. He was able to come to us and discuss those things with us on his level. So I think that that's made him even comfortable in other situations to where he could even come to you and talk to you, because he doesn't have that
pattern. He didn't have a pattern response.
Right.
To something.
Of us reacting a certain way and therefore thinking that all adults act that way. So that's kind of how I feel like they have become more comfortable in talking with adults and sharing things and as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, you guys, this has been awesome. We're so excited that we're able to sit down with y'all today. And thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for allowing us to see your heart and the love for your family, your kids. And thank you so much for being absolutely amazing fathers and such huge role models.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
This morning when I was getting ready to be on the podcast, I was channeling my inner Ron Burgundy and skeletons and New York, unique New York, unique New York. See, I can't even. I got to practice some more
for the next podcast.
The skeleton was New York.
Unique. Are you going to sign up with
New York?
Stay
unique.
Cool Ackworth.
Stay classy, Ackworth.
Awesome. That was cool. All right.
That was a lot of fun. Thanks.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That's it for today. Tune in next time as we continue to dive into life.
In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. You can find us at teaoflifepodcast.com or follow us on Twitter at teaoflifecast. Until next time, in the words of Monty Python,
Make tea, not war.